This lesson is Area and Perimeter of Polygons Revisited. It's just a review of the area and perimeter laws we've looked at. Area is the number of square units that cover the surface of a two-dimensional figure. And remember, perimeter is the way around it. Here are the formulas that are used. We have the triangle, and the area of a triangle is over here. 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2. A lot of times you're going to have to use Pythagorean theorem or possibly a special right triangle in solving some of these. A rectangle is base times height. A trapezoid, I use base 1 plus base 2 times height divided by 2. One that's left out here is the rhombus. Remember, the area of a rhombus is diagonal 1 times diagonal 2 divided by 2. Okay? And then there's the square, which is side squared or length times width. Okay, so let's scroll down here and find the area of a square with a perimeter of 48 units. Okay, so we have a square. And if each side is 48, if the perimeter is 48, what would that make each side? Okay, there's 4 sides, so 48 divided by 4 means that all the sides are 12. Okay, and so the area is 12 squared, or 12 times 12, which is 144. The next one is a rectangle, and it says find the area of the rectangle below. And again, mine is missing a measurement, so let's see. I'm going to say let's put a 10 here, okay? And if they want you to find the area of this rectangle, then you would need to find the length of this side. And we can do that with Pythagorean theorem, which would be 8 squared plus b squared is equal to 10 squared. I used a triple here, is equal to 100. And if you subtract 64 from both sides, you get b squared is equal to 36, and the square root of 36 is 6. Okay? And then we just multiply 6 times 8, and you get 48. Okay. Okay. Now this next one, great. Find the exact area of the parallelogram below. You will probably see one like this. Okay, we have a special right triangle here. So the exact area we know is base times height, but we need to find this height here. Okay, and so we're looking for the height that is perpendicular here to the base, but we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And so you have to remember the relationship. 30, 60, 90 is x, 2x, and x to the square root of 3. So 2x is across from 90. So here, 2x is 12. That makes x 6. And that makes the height 6 to the square root of 3. And so base times height is 15 times 6 to the square root of 3. And 15 times 6 is 90. So the answer is 90 to the square root of 3. Okay. Then next, we have an equilateral triangle. So again, you've got to use the relationship of the special right triangle, and you have to understand that in an equilateral triangle, the height bisects the base, and so that makes that 4. Okay, and then this would be a 30, 60, 90 triangle because all of the angles in an equilateral triangle are 60 degrees. And this top one is cut in half. And so here we have 4 and 8, and this is 4 to the square root of 3. Now, base times height divided by 2. Remember, the base is this whole side. So the base is 8 times the height divided by 2. And so that's going to be 16 to the square root of 3 inches squared. Okay, example 5, we have a rhombus. Okay, now in this rhombus here, the qualities that you need to remember is that they show us the right angle here, which is always true, where the diagonals intersect at a right angle. They also bisect each other. So if that's 3, this is also 3. So one of the diagonals is 6. We need the other diagonal. And we're going to use this right triangle right here and do Pythagorean theorem. It is a triple, but make sure, I'm going to draw it here, make sure that you understand that the 5 is across from 90. And so this would be 3 squared plus b squared is equal to 5 squared. And it is a triple, so it is 4. Okay? So one diagonal is 6, the other diagonal is 8, divided by 2. So 48 divided by 2 is 24. Okay. Example 6. An isosceles trapezoid have legs that measure 10 centimeters and bases of 12 and 2. The base angles are 60. So we need a picture here. We have an isosceles trapezoid, which means the legs have the same length, base of 12 and 2. So let's see, we have a small base. I'll try and draw it the best I can. We have a small one there and a bigger one here. And these, I didn't draw it that well. Let me try one more time. Maybe I should do that first. Okay, so it's not perfect, but sorry about that. Okay, so I tried my best to draw it, but this would be 2, and this would be 12, and then these are 10. Okay, I know this should be more like that, but anyway. So we need the height right here. Since it's isosceles, we know that, let me maybe use a different color, that these triangles over here are congruent triangles, okay? And so what we need is this height right here. So 12 minus 2 is 10, and half of that goes here, and half of that goes here. We could have done it that way, but we also said that this was a 60-degree angle. So again, this is 5 and 10, 2x and x, and then that makes this 5 to the square root of 3. Okay? So now we have all of our information, and we have base 1 plus base 2 times our height divided by 2. So the height is 5 to the square root of 3, and this is 14 times 5 to the square root of 3 divided by 2, or 35 times the square root of 3. All right, so hopefully I just want to make clear how I got the 5 again. There were 2 different ways to get it here. One is that we had a base of 12 and a base of 2, and so I said 12 minus 2 was 10. if you can see that, 12 minus 2 is 10, and then half of that 10 has to go here and the other half here. Or because they told us these base angles were 60, we knew that we had a 30, 60, 90 triangle, and since 2x was 10, you could have worked with it that way. All right, so one more example. Find the area of the trapezoid below. Okay, this one here, they give us a median. We know we have a median because we see that this is a midpoint here and that this is a midpoint over here. So that means that this line here is a median. It's parallel to both bases and it hits the midpoint of both sides. So we can use the formula of median times height. So this is just 18 times 6. And let's see what that is. 18 times 6 is 108. All right, that's the review. Good luck. I'm going to give you some practice, and then we'll have our test tomorrow.